AMP value equivalent to $0.72 a coin. The present exchanged cost range A72J74. The earlier day close P72. The change was 0,000%. Converse rate, US to AMP. AMP gauge for July 2024. To start with cost at $0.77. Exorbitant costs are 95, while low costs are 77. The founder middle value of cost or 95. AMP cost gauge toward the month's ends -9. Change for July 15.6%. AMP cost expectation for August 2024. In the first place, cost at $0.9. Exorbitant costs -91, while low costs 0.79. The founder middle value of cost 0.86. AMP cost gauge toward the month's ends May at 5. Change for August 4.5%. AMP gauge for September 2024. In the first place, cost at $0.5. Exorbitant cost 0.106, while low costs May at 5. The founder middle value of cost 0.94. AMP cost estimate toward the month's ends 0.99. Change for September 16.5%. AMP cost expectation for October 2024. First and foremost, cost at $0.9. Exorbitant cost 0.123, while low costs 0.99. The founder middle value of cost 0.109. AMP cost estimate toward the month's end 0.115. Change for October 16.2%. AMP estimate for November 2024. First and foremost, cost at $0.115. Exorbitant cost 0.124, while low cost 0.108. The founder middle value of cost 0.116. AMP cost estimate toward the month's end 0.116. Change for November's 0.9%. AMP cost expectation for December 2024. To start with, cost at $0.116. Exorbitant cost 0.129, while low costs 0.113. The founder middle value of cost 0.112. AMP cost estimate toward the month's end 0.121. Change for December 4.3%. AMP estimate for January 2025. To start with, cost at $0.121. Excessive cost 0.134, while low cost 0.116. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.124. AMP cost conjecture toward the month's end 0.125. Change for January 3%. AMP cost expectation for February 2025. At the outset, cost at $0.125. Excessive cost 0.148, while low cost 0.125. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.134. AMP cost conjecture toward the month's end 0.138. Change for February 10.4%. AMP conjecture for walk 2025. Initially cost at $0.138. Excessive cost 0.154, while low cost 0.134. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.143. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.144. Change for spring 4.2%. AMP cost expectation for April 2025. Initially cost at $0.144. Excessive costs 161, while low costs 14. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.149. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.150. Change for April 4.2%. AMP figure for May 2025. In the first place, cost at $0.15. Exorbitant cost 0.164, while low cost 0.142. The founder middle value of cost 0.152. AMP cost estimate toward the month's end 0.153. Change for May 2%. AMP cost expectation for June 2025. At the outset, cost at $0.153. Excessive cost 0.178, while low cost 0.148. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.158. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.159. Change for June 3.9%. AMP figure for July 2025. Initially cost at $0.159. Excessive costs 0.197, while low costs 0.159. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.175. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.184. Change for July 15.7%. AMP cost expectation for August 2025. Initially cost at $0.184. Excessive cost 0.228, while low cost 0.184. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 7.2. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.213. Change for August 15.8%. AMP figure for September 2025. Before all else cost at $0.213. Excessive costs 0.13, while low cost 0.173. The arrived at the midpoint of cost 0.196. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.186. Change for September 12.7%. AMP cost expectation for October 2025. Before all else cost at $0.86. Exorbitant costs 186, while low costs are 145. They found the middle value of cost or 168. AMP cost gauge toward the month's end 0156, change for October 16 1%. AMP figure for November 2025. Initially cost at $0.156. Excessive cost 0166, while low cost 0144. They arrived at the midpoint of cost 0155. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0155, change for November 6%. AMP cost expectation for December 2025. Before all else cost at $0.155. Excessive cost 0155, while low cost 0121. They arrived at the midpoint of cost 0140. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.1, change for December 16 1%. AMP figure for January 2026. Before all else cost at $0.1. Excessive costs for this, while low cost 0101. They arrived at the midpoint of cost 0118. AMP cost gauge toward the month's end 0.9, change for January 16 2%. AMP cost expectation for February 2026. Initially cost at $0.9. Excessive cost 0.19, while low costs 0.1. They arrived at the midpoint of costs 101. AMP cost figure toward the month's end 0.97, change for February 11%. AMP figure for Walk 2026. Initially cost at $0.97. Excessive costs 197, while low costs 175. They found the middle value of cost 88. AMP cost gauge toward the month's end 0.1, change for spring 16.5%. As to AMP expectation for April 2024. To start with cost at 96.15 coins. Exorbitant cost 175.44, while low 93.46. They found the middle value of cost 127.50. The US to AMP gauge toward the month's end 144.93, change for April 57%. Dollar to AMP gauge for May 2024. To start with cost at 144.93 coins. Exorbitant cost 212.77, while low 121.95. They found the middle value of cost 157.79. The US to AMP estimate toward the month's end 151.52, change for May 4.5%. US to AMP expectation for June 2024. Before all else cost at 151.52 coins. Excessive cost 151.52, while low 121.95. They arrived at the midpoint of cost 138.72. The US to AMP figure toward the month's end 129.87, change for June 14.3%. Dollar to AMP figure for July 2024. To start with